Furmint! We're gonna talk all about this fiery white grape. Stay tuned, that's all coming up. Hello! Welcome back to Exotic Wine Travel. And I am talking today about an exciting grape called Furmint. A grape that in this part of the world has a whole month dedicated to it. Furmint February. This is a grape that has some history of making some spectacular wines, yet not a lot of people have heard about it. Furmint, or what a lot of people just say Furmint, is known for being one of the principal grapes in the legendary sweet wine of Tokaj. Most of the plantings of Furmint are in Hungary. There's, I think, about 4,000 hectares there. It's not just limited to Tokaj. We're going to taste another example from a different part of the country. It's found throughout the country, and then it's found in small patches of the surrounding countries. You'll find a little bit in Slovakia, just a tiny bit in Austria. You'll find some in Slovenia where they call it Šipon, and then northern Croatia where it's called Moslavac. In northern Serbia, you'll find some excellent examples, as well as Transylvania and Romania. Think of it as a Carpathian Basin grape. Although it's mostly associated to be a Hungarian grape, there is research to show that it might have come from the Balkan area. It might have come from that northern Croatia, eastern Slovenia, northern Serbia type region in the past that was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Regardless, this is a high-acid grape. While it was historically known for making great sweet wines in Tokaj, producers lately in the last 20 years or so have been turning their focus and trying to make it into a dry, crispy wine, both fresh and barrel-aged, barrel-fermented. The first mentions of Furmint go back to the mid-15th century. I heard some theories that it was brought into Tokaj by some Italians, but then that's kind of been disproven because Furmint doesn't have any genetic ties to any Italian grape varieties. Regardless, thank goodness we have it because it's a delicious grape. People around the wine world really started to pay attention about 20 years ago when producers in Tokaj, namely the legendary Szepsi, István Szepsi, started producing dry wines out of Furmint because you know what? Sweet wines are a difficult sell these days. In Hungary, it's believed to be really truly a noble grape because it's supposed to reflect terroir, and I do have to say it does taste different depending on which different countries you get it from, and it tastes different when it's grown within different parts of Hungary. There's minute quantities planted in the new world. I think there's a little bit in South Africa. I heard somebody has it in Australia. I'm not sure. If you know, drop it in the comments below. I heard a theory that somebody's experimenting with it in California, but yet I don't know. So again, if you know somebody that has it, you know a producer that's bottling it, drop it in the comments below. We're gonna taste dry Furmints today. We're not going to be talking about sweet Tokaj. I could drink sweet Tokaj every day, all day. I just love the flavors because of the high acidity. Even in sweet Tokaj, it washes your palate clean. I did a video describing Tokaj in the different styles. I'll put that in the link in the description box. First up, a Slovenian example. This is the Kobal Šipon Furmint 2020. Like I said, it's called Šipon in Slovenia. This is right on the border of Hungary. Oddly enough, my first ever dry Furmint was from Slovenia, not Hungary. Like you said, 2020. This is just released, so it's made into a fresh, crispy type of style. So let's give this a little sniff. When Šipon is fresh, when Furmint is fresh, it has these real lemony, maybe green apple. You know that you're going to get into some high acidity with some slight mineral, kind of chalky notes. This has tons of lemony flavors. Sometimes when done well, it has some white pepper notes. I think fans of Riesling are really going to get into this grape. And just like Riesling, producers that work with Furmint have to balance the residual sugar. I think just like great dry Riesling, you know, if you have 9 grams a liter of acidity, you can have up to 9 grams a liter of residual sugar to balance that and still be a dry wine. The wines will have a little more body, but they will still taste fairly dry because of that piercing acidity. I don't think producers of Furmint in Hungary, not everyone has it all figured out yet. Lots of improvements. There are some great wines, but I think people are still tinkering as well. Because most of the terroirs, most of the wine growing regions in Hungary are volcanic, they have some smokier notes. The Slovenian one doesn't have that smoky note to it. It's mostly fruit, mostly lemon and green apple. Wow. Razor sharp acidity. I mean, it shoots right down your palate. As I just had some saliva come up. Riesling fans are going to get off on this. Not the easiest wines to drink for just people just getting into wine. But if you crave acidity, if you're like me, if you're like someone that was drinking tons of lemonade when you were a kid, you're going to dig this. I, in fact, think of all dry white wines, Fresh ferment are the most that taste like those lemon ices that I used to get back in the day. Just lemon ice, a little bit of sweetness. Oh, I used to love those things. I think wines like this, I think it could even go with some kind of salad or tomato salad with some olive oil because the acidity shoots right through. I think freshwater fish would be a good deal for this. Freshwater fish, most underrated type of fish. This is a good entry-level, inexpensive wine. Next, we have a rare wine. This is the Fekete Pince, which basically means black cellar. This is from SOMLÓ. This is the Furmint 2017. SOMLÓ is this old extinct volcano that sits out in the plains of North Balaton. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's an old extinct volcano. It's one of Hungary's great terroirs. The wines are made in tiny quantity. I don't think there's even running water or electricity on this little hill. Very small production, known for barrel fermented, high acid wines, a little bit more rustic in style. I gave this wine to a Burgundy drinker when he visited me in Budapest, and I remember he said, this is the most complex $15 wine I've ever had in my life. Another great thing about Hungary, the price points are fantastic. Let's give this a go. I am super excited to taste this. This is one of the old guards on SOMLÓ, one of the maybe 2 original producers, old school producers. Tiny quantities. I bet you, I think less than 10,000, maybe 12,000 bottles a year max. Old school label, as you can see. This has the barrel and this has complexity. Ooh, get me all. This has some smokiness to it. You still smell the wood. Tons of mineral notes, ash notes too even. Lemon, green apple, white pear, but the smokiness. I remember when I first gave one of my friends a wine from SOMLÓ and he said, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm smelling a campfire. Even for a white wine, just a little bit of leather too, which is kind of unique. This acidity pierces through. The wood gives it some roundness. Since it's barrel fermented, there is some roundness, so it cuts off some of the sharp acidity you're going to find in the one from Kobal, the fresh one. This is incredibly complex, layered, long. I'm really still tasting this wine. Again, this is not a wine to give to somebody that wants just a generic fruity white wine, a newbie. This is really complex, quite thought-provoking stuff. Let me give this another go. Quite impressed. I've had a lot of vintages of this wine. This is the brand new vintage. I don't even know how to compare it to. Maybe I could compare it to some Etna Biancos, but still, in its own right, it's just a totally unique drinking experience. Unfortunately, you know, the wines of SOMLÓ, I've seen, there's a California importer that has these and has some other wines. You see them in Hungary, but other than that, they're really difficult to get. But if you make it to Budapest, track down some wines from SOMLÓ. It's going to give you a drinking experience like no other, I promise you. Next up, we have one of my favorite producers from Tokaj. This is the Château Pajzos. This is the Tokaj Selection, the Furmint Selection 2016. It is barrel aged. Part of the cuvee is barrel aged. This producer is the only Hungarian producer that has a wine that's received 100 points from Robert Parker's The Wine Advocate. They got 100 points for the Tokaj Essentia, which is a super rare sweet wine. These wines also offer tremendous value, and I'm a big fan. I drink them often when I go into Hungary. This is a new vintage of this wine, so let's give it a go. I have not tasted this yet, so I'm super excited. Oh, for the price point, very good stuff. This has a little more bottle development, has a little bit more age to it, so I have dried lemon peel. This has a little bit more going into the white peach type of flavors. Tons of flint. I don't know if you have rocks and you could, if you ever were a kid and you're out in a quarry and you're playing in the rocks and you kind of smell that dust coming out of them as the rocks grinded together, or maybe even in your driveway, that's what you're going to get in this wine too. A little bit of a natural gas type of flavor. When I say natural gas, this is going to be a funny comparison. Kind of, I guess, when somebody lays down this quiet little fart, that's not overly poopy smelling, but it's gassy smelling. That's what you're going to get. I know that doesn't sound super attractive, but in a wine, some of us wine geeks like that type of flavor. Smoke, good wood integration. Really complex, again, complex wine. This has a little more body than the SOMLÓ wine. This is a little bit more round, a little bit more easy to drink. Very good stuff. I'm going to hit the SOMLÓ one more time to compare. Oh, the SOMLÓ wine has a little bit of a longer finish, is more sharp. The ones from Château Pajzos is a little bit easier to drink for maybe newbies to the style because it's a little bit more round. You have acidity, but the barrel really rounds out the mouthfeel. quite nice stuff. I forgot a pairing for this, especially the barrel-aged Furmints when I'm in Hungary a lot. They have them sometimes with duck or with pork, which I think is really nice. You know, the Germans drink their dry Rieslings with pork. I think it's a nice little pairing as well. So just because Furmint February is over, doesn't mean you have to stop drinking Furmints. Check it out. It's such an exciting variety. I've been really following the progress of producers in the recent years, and I'm excited to see how far up they go and how far they rise. I hope you had fun today. I'm going to do another video with Furmint's blending partner in Tokaj called HUNGARY, which also makes varietal dry wines that can be equally exciting. Have you tried any dry Furmints before? Do you have any favorite producers? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.
Hello, thanks for watching.
Hey, you made it to the end. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the bell so you know when new videos are out. If you like content like this, check out our Patreon page where you get some behind the scenes exclusive content. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.